Hello, and welcome to the second episode of our podcast, Jai Tea Nonsense. Yeah, that's right. Non like the bread, but it's nonsense instead of non-bread.
What a slay. I think you killed that intro.
Oh, for sure. Thank you. We're discussing issues in the South Asian diaspora from a progressive left-oriented point of view. And to be very
Yes.
clear, both of us are caste privileged and spiritual Hindu. And yeah,
I think for now we can talk about the various ways that caste played a role on Indian matchmaking. I know it was really subtle, but I think we can point out a few examples of the show and how it dealt with caste. And I think one of the big ones was that on the criteria, not the criteria, but on the bio data, it would say community and it would say community Jat or community Gujarati or I mean that was quite ambiguous. Like sometimes it would say the ethnicity or sometimes it would literally say Jat or Patel or straight up the cast name. So I thought that was damn, we're still doing this, huh? And I know on Delmil you can set that too, right?
I've never been on Delmo, but that's just so fucked up.
Yeah, I think on Delmil you can set your cast.
Yeah, wait, were you on those groups like Subtle Curry Dating?
Yes, I was.
I remember that they had like a memo out where they were like, no, don't please don't mention caste. 'Cause like there were people like you and me who were mentioning caste as like a criteria. Or like even if they were saying it as a joke, it's like, oh, this handsome Jat man. Like that's still playing into like caste as a
Yeah, that's
thing.
gross. Yeah.
Yeah, but like on Indian matchmaking though, like the fact that they just say community and they leave it as ambiguous,
Yeah.
um, says that like, oh, they can be as specific or as generic as they want, but really what they're trying to do is it's like, oh, if they want somebody in the same cast, that's fine. Yeah, like going back to the show though, there was like one person, Vikash, who was like, oh, he was like just so insistent on wanting somebody who spoke Hindi.
Yeah. And he rejected someone actually from India.
Yeah, I know. Like, okay, I feel like this is kind of a hot take,
Say it.
but I think that those are valid concerns, but they're not worth rejecting somebody over. Like, sure, it might be nice to be with another Indian American because you have more in common. You have that experience of like having like one ancestral culture, I guess, and like one a different living in a different culture. And sure, like maybe somebody else might want to navigate like you might want to be with someone else who has navigated those problems, but like he straight up said like, "Oh, I don't like the way she talks. I don't like her accent. It doesn't seem like cultured or
Yeah.
whatever."
That's
Like,
so superficial.
yeah, the in person from India that got set up with Vikash had also
Yeah.
been in the US for a decent amount of time
Yeah, she was.
and like intended to settle here, everything. And so like even then you're like sure there are some like very big cultural differences between like
Hmm.
here and there and but if you've been in this country for like 10 years and somebody doesn't like you because of your accent, like that's a them problem.
Yeah. No, you're so right. I mean, Vikash was just there were multiple things wrong with him, like his vegetarianism.
No, wait.
Oh, sorry, not Vikash, but yeah, him wanting somebody that was Brahmin. Didn't he want someone who was vegetarian, but he eats meat?
I don't know if he wanted somebody who was a vegetarian, but when Seemanti was talking to him about this, he was like, "Oh, I wanted a Brahmin," but he himself ate meat. He drank
Okay, yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I want this more for my parents." And yeah, I guess he just said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Seema auntie did call him out on that. She was like, "Oh, if you eat meat, then why do you care? She's a Brahmin."
Oh my
But
gosh. Like this guy is so bad. We're defending Seema Auntie.
yeah,
Imagine that.
no, yeah. But it's also quite crazy to me that like we've normalized Brahmins saying, "Oh, I want to marry another Brahmin." Just like that statement itself should not be said out loud by anyone, like at all. I don't know. There's so much like caste violence behind that statement. And I think it's crazy that we're even at a point where that could be said on like live television. I mean,
You're actually very right about that.
I know like everyone said like all Brahmins say it, like all the time. But like on television, that was yeah, I was very shocked. And I think it's just because a lot of people don't, at least in the diaspora, like a lot of people don't know like the magnitude of violence Brahmins and other upper castes have inflicted upon lower castes. So it's like when you learn about that, then it's very jarring. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't think about that, honestly. I feel like, yes, America is such a bubble, the West is such a bubble, but I think we use the fact that we are a minority in America to completely get us away from like the vast amount of privilege that we have where our
Hmm.
parents were from, and also like so many Indian Americans themselves are all caste privileged.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to talk about was like viral like
Yeah,
so like she was very insistent on having someone that was Gujarati. I mean, she's Gujarati and she really wanted someone who spoke the same language, who could read and write Gujarati. And I was just like, why? Like, she's not going to be talking in Gujarati to her husband. Like, they're going to be speaking English. Like, and what is the need for him to write Gujarati? Like, when is Viral or her potential husband ever, when are they ever going to need to write Gujarati? I feel like that insistence on the same language was just to like preserve their culture, which is basically just like preserving their bloodline and like protecting the purity of their caste. Like that's what it boils down to.
yeah, yeah. Like the fact that I don't know, you're saying that this has to do with your bloodline, or yeah, this has to do with like carrying on the culture. A lot of these are just like code words for keeping your caste's bloodline alive. And the thing is that we're not blaming any of them individually,
Yeah.
because so many of us do it subconsciously. And like unless you're exposed to that kind of literature, like that kind of work from Dalit, Bahujan activists and scholars who have like talked about the evils of caste and Brahmanism, then you won't know. Like you're just gonna be following rituals and engaging with the culture, quote unquote, because that's what your parents taught you. And like you want to be
Yeah.
cultured, you want to take the tradition forward, but you're not asking where that tradition's coming from. You're not doing any like real work to sort of like break those caste lineages. And that's really what our generation should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of us don't question things. And I know like when our parents came from India, I know a lot of parents, they like tried extra hard to like preserve their traditions, which are upper caste, obviously. And obviously the kids got that. And especially nowadays when it's like cool to be ethnic, it's holding on to these like upper caste cultures even more tightly, and that's just like dangerous. I mean, there's a lot of violence behind all these things, and we're not even willing to question them, then yeah, that's bad.
Wait, like what are these things um that might be considered cool right now, but
Oh,
actually have like violent roots?
I mean, I think like arranged marriages, I mean, not arranged marriages, but like a lot of like Hindu marriage rituals, like all the influencers get these like big Hindu weddings and they're like all over Instagram and then they're like these super big fun party events. But like a lot of rituals in the marriage itself are like extremely regressive. So just like stuff like that. And like people just like go along and do those things because it's like part of the culture. Like
Yeah,
like that type of stuff.
yeah,
Or like vegetarianism and not knowing how that's like connected to purity culture. I mean, I'm not saying being vegetarian is bad, but you know, those like connections.
yeah. Of course, a lot of us are taught that being vegetarian is good for like the animals, but you look at like if you look at the people who are committing this caste violence, they care like literally you have people who have lynched, illegally killed like or like what did I say illegally? But yeah, like killed caste oppressed Muslim folks over things like protecting cows. Like you
Mhm.
literally value a cow more than the life of your fellow human being.
Yeah. And I think that brings us right into like Viral's weirdness around vegetarianism because I remember that for like Guy Viral, he asked Girl Viral, oh like, um, are you vegetarian? And she has like so much hesitation just to answer the question. And then she says like whatever semi-ovo lacto vegetarian and like
What's that even supposed to mean?
I don't know. I don't know, but he was just like ashamed that she's like not vegetarian and she's like ashamed that she eats like eggs or I'm sure she's not eating meat. I'm sure she's like eating eggs or whatever, but she's like ashamed that she's not pure vegetarian. And I'm like, it's because vegetarianism is so connected to purity that like she literally feels ashamed to be like, oh yeah, I eat eggs. Or like, oh, I eat seafood. Or like that was
Mm,
clearly like a caste marker.
yeah, you're right. Like especially because like she's not trying to hide like her habits.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I guess like she's trying to hide her habits, you know? And like the reason why is that you're conditioned into doing this by caste. And this is honestly like something that is psychological and it comes across so many generations.
Yeah.
Um, we're probably going to discuss this at a later time, but there's a book that talks about casteism in the diaspora and like from this trauma-informed and psychological perspective called The Trauma of Caste by Thenmori Sundararajan. I definitely recommend that
Hmm.
folks check it out. And she is a Dalit author and activist who's again done like a lot of great work with caste in the diaspora. But yeah, I think like that's also like one of the biggest things that we can do as caste privileged folks, like support
Yeah. Yeah.
Dalit authorship, like scholarship and activism.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, like before, oh my gosh, I felt like this is one of those times where like the people on podcasts are so like, oh, anyways, speaking of which, speaking of security, have you tried this VPN?
Honestly, I'd be so down to get a sponsorship, but I'm lazy.
Oh, yeah, like that.
And also, like, I'm sure we're gonna dive into more radical things in the future.
Yeah, I
And
know for sure.
I doubt any company, any corporate entity would be like, yeah, let's pay these guys.
Yeah, I know. That's not gonna happen anytime soon, but yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about work that you should definitely be reading on your
Yes.
own time.
Yes.
Yeah, but also on vegetarianism as a marker of caste, like we'd said that that like yes, here people say that we're doing things for our fellow, like our fellow animals who we share the planet with. Um, and yeah, there are very valid environmental reasons for being vegetarian.
Yeah, like the
If
chicken and beef industry, how that
Yeah,
contributes to like so much global warming.
yeah, but in a lot of Hindu contexts, I guess Jain as well, but like vegetarianism, but I guess Jainism sort of came as a reaction to Hinduism, and they like really stressed nonviolence as part of vegetarianism. But vegetarianism in Hinduism, or like vegetarianism as Hindus practice it these days, is not really about concern for the animals, it's about
Purity.
purity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just like wanted to make that point. And I guess the point being is that all of these habits like vegetarianism or wanting somebody who you have things in common with, these seem like very innocent and reasonable, but if you've got to dig deeper and figure out why you care about this. Like,
Yeah. I think
yeah.
that's the main point. I totally agree with you. And I kind of just want to be clear about vegetarianism. I mean, you're right. Like in the Hindu context, vegetarianism is connected to purity and it becomes a reason to discriminate. So it's like, oh, you're vegetarian. We have to eat in like separate dishes. Like that's kind of where it first starts, right? And normally, like that shouldn't matter, right? Like once you wash a plate with soap, it's fine for anyone to eat on. So it starts off with, oh, we need separate dishes. Oh, you eat meat. You can't like sit at the same table as us. So it very easily delves into segregation and untouchability, and it relegates people who eat meat to like an inferior status in society. So all these things are connected. That's what we mean when we say vegetarianism is like a marker of purity. It's not some like abstract thing of, oh, Brahmins are pure, other people are impure. It's like this is a reason why untouchability still exists, segregation between castes still exists, to the point where like, like lower caste people can't get the same jobs, to the point where people feel like it's okay to violate them. So that's just like the underlying violence behind vegetarianism in like Brahmin Hindu context. So it's not just some abstract thing, which I just wanted to make that clear. But
Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
but you're right. We should be asking ourselves, why do we care about this? Especially if it's not something that affects our day-to-day lives, like writing Gujarati.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like that's a cute little thing to do with your partner, like learn to read or like l watch movies in the other person's language at the very least, and then like maybe
Yeah.
learn to read or write. It's like it's a way to bond.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Um, but I guess on vegetarianism and marking purity, my gosh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say.
No problem. Actually, well, we'll get into this later.
I'm curious.
It's off topic, but whatever. Um, one of a friend, a friend that I had previously, her she's Tamil Brahmin, was very vocal about it. She was one of those. But yeah, so she had said a lot of like pasty stuff before, but it was kind of like before I did a lot of reading and research and stuff. So the stuff she said would make me uncomfortable, but I just didn't know why. But anyway, she was talking about her grandmother and she was talking about like the cleanliness that her grandmother wanted in the house and stuff. And it definitely felt very casty. But then my friend would just be like, oh no, like she just needs the place clean. Like, even if I hug her without taking a shower, like she'll get pissed off. So it's just about like keeping the place clean. It's not about caste. And I was like, the fact that you had to reiterate that like 3 times makes me feel like it's about caste.
Yeah, like why would you be so apologetic? Like there's this just this like obsession with cleanliness. Or Or like the fact that like even other like if we are talking about like other ethnic group or like other ethnic or religious groups, like we might call them dirty, and like that comes from a caste point of
Yeah,
view because like they're seen as less pure than us. Like
yeah. It's a whole can of worms.
yeah, I think we've like kind of strayed very far from the topic.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, was there anything else about Indian matchmaking and caste that we wanted to talk about?
Yeah. Oh, a couple things. So you remember Aarti, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she actually ended up with a Muslim guy, and I think
Yes.
he proposed to her,
Yes.
and
They met on
um
a dating app, I think.
yeah, yeah, like could you imagine like what would happen to Simanti's business if she made like marriages across religions?
It would just make work harder for her
Yeah.
because you can't automatically just filter out people based on. But I don't even know if Seema Auntie does like Muslim.
Wait, yeah, you're actually like you're probably right about that. Like
Yeah,
it
like
never was very clear.
I don't think she would. But I think what Aarti said on the show was quite profound. She was like, if we had gone through Seema Auntie and if we had kept up with that, she would have never found Jamal.
Yeah.
And I think that's like she accurately pinpointed that arranged marriage is just a way to preserve caste.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought, yeah, that was very cool of her to say. I mean, like it was a little shade to Seema Auntie. Like I remember the previous episode, Seema Auntie was like hardcore yelling at Arati because she was refusing to like compromise with like the 2 to 3 guys that Seema Auntie had set her up with before. So I feel like she deserved that shade.
Yeah, yeah. Like Seamonty deserves all the shade in the world, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, good on Arthi and like good on the people for like making sure that that was frank, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
And
had the courage to like have a back and forth with her parents because I know there was some stuff about her parents not being okay with a person of a different religion. Um, did we want to talk about the patriarchal aspects of the show?
oh my gosh, there's like a whole section we didn't talk about. Do you want to?
I I mean, yeah, there's a lot, but I feel like this discourse is already out there. We're not like saying anything new, but I do want to say that if you guys haven't heard, Pradyuman's wife did file a formal complaint with the police against Pradyuman for domestic violence allegations, or like, yeah, for domestic violence. Um, Nothing much else to say on that.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, she clearly like had something like this man probably did something horrible to her, but Seema Auntie's gonna keep saying, oh, compromise, compromise to like the next 10, 15 people she tries to matchmake with. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of scary.
Yeah, that is a really important issue. I am glad that you brought it up because it gets swept under the rug.
Yeah,
Um, like, oh, like you just if you are in an abusive relationship, you just have to deal with it. And that's really not healthy for anybody.
yeah. And Simandi's really like not looking out for the safety or mental well-being of any of these women because she's always telling them, I mean, obviously compromise is good in like some ways, but if you're just not feeling it, you're just not feeling it. And obviously Simandi's like more difficult on the women to compromise than the men. And as I talked about earlier, there was like a whole 10, 15 minutes where she was just like yelling at Arati and
Wait,
hmm
you're so right though. I don't think she gave that talk about, oh, you have to compromise, you have to accept like maybe 60, 70% to a single man. Or like if she did, it was she definitely did it more often for the women.
yeah. I mean, I think she was I think she was critical of Vikash, and I don't know if she said anything to Pradyuman. See, This is why we need to like record these podcasts like right after we watch it. Because I just can't remember. But I know Pradyuman had seen like 100 women or something. And I don't remember if Simanti ever told him to compromise.
Yeah, yeah, I think she probably said something related like, oh, his standards are too high.
Yeah. But it
Yeah,
was just like much more scoldy with the women.
yeah. Oh wait, you remember the chicken farmer in Nashik?
Yeah.
And he's like, and Seema was like, oh, he's the whole package, but the thing is that the women will have to relocate to Nasik.
Yeah.
And the patriarchy aside, because I feel like the expectation is that the woman will live with the man's family.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's horribly imbalanced.
Yeah.
But I think he also had a business there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like maybe for the right person, you might be okay with changing your career. But that would be a lot to ask. But I felt like she was still being upfront and like trying to like tell the women that like this would be something that they would have to deal with, rather than like having both of them try and meet in the middle somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously the show, I mean, we're all pretty sure it's scripted, and the show does like villainize women who are resistant to like Simanti's insistence on compromise, like Aparna, Viral. I know it was probably scripted to like kind of make them appear kind of like catty and stuff, which I don't really have any thoughts about that. It's just like whatever media they like to villainize women.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think Aparna was asking a guy was basically saying like, "Oh, I don't like guys who are funny," or
Oh yeah.
um saying that I want a guy who knows where the Bolivian salt flats are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought she was really toxic to begin with, but I grew to liking her. Um
I feel like it's just been a while since we watched Indian matchmaking. So like ideas aren't just like coming to us because we've
yeah.
already like discussed it and processed it like a couple months ago when we all binge watched season 3.
Well, I guess we might do another more Indian matchmaking focused episode if and when season 4 comes out.
Yes. But I do think how it's funny that like every season has this like one terrible guy. Like in the first season, it was Akshay, the mama's boy,
Yeah.
who like didn't, whose like parents were pressurizing him to get married. And then in the second season, it was Vinish, who was like so superficial and like rejected the first girl, even though they got along really well because she wasn't like hot enough, basically. And
Wait, I
then,
don't remember this.
don't you remember? On his first date, he took his brother and his sister in law, like his brother and his brother's wife.
Oh, wait, yes, yes.
And
I remember
then,
that.
yeah, he got along with that girl. And she was basically like, oh, there's no chemistry, but that was just like, she's not hot enough.
Yeah, and they got along really well, but he was like, "Yeah, I see her more as a friend." And then there's this other one, like this other person that Simanti matched her with. For some reason, I remember her because she said like parathe is like pronte, and I think
Oh,
that's like
yeah.
the Punjabi way of saying it.
Yeah. So Manish did get set up with like a more conventionally attractive looking person.
Like
And
that
he
was
was
just so dry.
And he was like, yeah, there's like chemistry here. But she was obviously like not feeling it at all.
Yeah, I don't know how I like got through that date. But yeah, anyways, in the third season, the problematic guy was Vikash. Yeah. What's with
Yeah,
these V names?
I know. But
My friend said that Vikash reminded them of a Disney adult.
I kind of see it. I think it was like the dancing. Cause
Yeah.
I mean like no judgment, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I mean, if we're gonna make comments, like for somebody who speaks Hindi, I felt like he was like low-key trying to show off his Hindi skills
It's not that good.
to Seema auntie, and that
Yeah.
was a little questionable. Like, don't make that the like one of your defining factors, you know?
I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
If you had to date anyone from Indian matchmaking, who would it be?
Ooh, this is a heated question.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
See, I think all the women had like personalities. I felt like all the
Yeah.
men were like kind of dry.
I liked Vyasar.
Yeah. Would you choose him?
I mean, I think I'd like to hang out with him.
Yeah, he was the person on the show with like the most personality. And he
Yeah.
seemed like a genuinely nice guy.
Maybe Nadia or that British lady.
Oh, Priya, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think she was just like, oh, he has to have hair, but I feel like that was like the least, that was like the most superficial thing. But I think
But she was
compare,
also making fun of his height.
oh, yeah, never mind. I
That's
don't
like
know.
that was
Maybe it's the British
actually
accent. We need to like
bro,
decolonize
it's
ourselves.
the British accent gets me every time. A British person could say the most like sexist, misogynistic, hateful type shit, and I'd still eat that shit up. Like really not okay. But actually no, with Priya, that was something I found really like jarring because like she was making fun of his height. And that's like an equivalent kind of to like a guy making fun of a girl's weight.
Oh, that
Because like
those
you
are
can
facts right there.
because you literally can't change your height.
But yeah, Bobby was kind of cute though. He was
He
like
was.
yeah, like very excited. I felt like he had a personality.
Yeah, yeah, he did have a
Yeah,
personality.
I think he like had a career in finance and then like became a math teacher. It's like a pretty big green flag. But yeah, anyways,
Yeah, so I
yeah,
thought it was
also
like a
like
huge red flag that I mean, obviously like if you're not attracted to someone, you're not. But I feel like the way she said it was kind of like taunting-ish. Anyway.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh, and then who was the guy she ended up with after Bobby? He looked kind of like Dave Patel,
Wait, you're right.
like off-brand Dave Patel.
Not just because he's British.
I forgot his name.
Yeah, yeah, I think they might still be together. I don't know like about now, but I think I remember seeing them like on Instagram going to India.
Okay, so who are your top three or top two?
I don't know. I'd probably say Nadia and Aparna.
But like, I thought Nadia was kind of. I mean, she like left Shaker just to get with this that Michelle guy.
Yeah, see, like I'm forgetting all of these details, you know. Oh, I
Does that
think I
change any?
remember
Yeah, continue.
maybe, but also I think I remember both Aparna and Vyasar were involved with like calling South Asian voters during like South Asian Democratic voters during the 2020 election. So I'm
Oh my
like,
God, were they?
yeah. Like right now, I really don't want to do anything in terms of like organizing with the Democratic Party, but back then that was a green flag for me. At least like
Yeah,
they were politically engaged, which
yeah,
was nice, I guess.
yeah. We've all had a political evolution. I
Yeah,
think like it's
there's
just
more of that coming too.
I think it's just like a canon event to be like disillusioned by the Dems. Like you just that just needs to happen to you and you just need to go through it for it to like open your eyes to like actual problems.
Oh no, I think my eyes were definitely open to actual problems even before, but I think it was just hating the Democrats that's
Yeah.
changed. Um
So are you still sticking with Nadia and Aparna?
ooh. How much pressure?
I'm just asking. What about
Wait,
Ankita
I liked
from Delhi?
Ankita, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
liked her too.
gosh, you like You're making me want to be with somebody from Delhi. Like no shade actually. I actually really liked visiting Delhi. I think if it wasn't for the smog,
Yeah. I
um
mean, the people are kind of intense.
yeah, some of the people it was a nice city. Yeah. I think she was at least more progressive. Yeah, and I don't know, like
Yeah. I liked
yeah.
Yasser. I liked Off-Brand Dev Patel. I liked Jay. I think he was seeing Abrina, and then they like decided to become friends.
Oh yeah, they were on that goat yoga date.
Yeah, and then I think Jay was like showing her apartments.
Ooh, fancy.
So I thought he was like, I mean, I didn't like particularly like him, but I thought he was like chill.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he seemed chill. Like honest like if there's a guy I wish I was, it would probably be off-brand Dev Patel.
That conversation.
Like I want to open a restaurant. I was voted most likely to quit my job and open a chai shop in college.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's like 1 a.m. right now, so I feel like it's appropriate for really bad British accents to come out. No, but I remember he had that conversation with Priya and she was being like she like wanted to take things slower and he was just like very like emotionally mature about that situation.
Yes,
Um,
yes, that's what I liked about him.
and then afterwards he was like, "Oh, why are you so far away? Like, come here, give me a hug." I just thought it was so cute.
Yeah. No, that was very sweet of him.
Yeah.
Also, like, I'm also very happy for Arthi.
Yeah.
I really don't think that she's my type, but
Yeah.
I
I
think
like
she
her.
she said
Yeah.
like, oh, a nice date would be just going to Costco with
Yeah.
them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also like that as a date.
See, I would like that as a
I love
date.
grocery shopping as a
I
date. Yeah.
I would like that as a date, but like not with someone I don't know.
You're right. Yeah, I feel like you've got to get to know them a little bit better.
You have to like them, and then if you go grocery shopping, it'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Because like, I actually did go to Costco with one of my friends. Like, I mean, he's like a friend. I wouldn't. I think he's like more than an acquaintance, but like
sure.
not like a close friend. Oh yeah, we went to Costco together. I don't know how that happened, but like, wasn't that fun? Like he was just like sticking to like what he needed instead of like wandering around in Costco and like actually doing the fun stuff. So I was like, okay, well, this is boring.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'd gone with a couple coworkers. I didn't know them that well yet. Um,
Yeah.
we were just going to an Indian grocery store. Because yeah, they're like hard to come by. But if you're with a date or like if you're with a good friend,
Yeah,
or
then
like
it's fun.
somebody you've been dating for a while, I feel like
Yeah.
that's good.
I'm wondering, to be on the show, do you need to pay Seema Auntie or does Netflix just pay her?
I feel like you probably have to pay her.
Dang.
I remember that like I got these ads on Insta or Facebook or something for some event that she was running locally
Hmm.
or like some event that she was running and they were like $100 just to go to that event and like they weren't even serving dinner. It was just like samosas and snacks and mediocre chai if I say so myself. Like I don't even need to be there. I'm just like like I feel like that's another date. I would love to make chai for my partner. Like homemade chai is just different, you know. Like there's this whole process. There's like intention in every step.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like Uncle Iroh over here.
I don't like the taste of chai, but I do like eating it with bread, dipping the bread in the chai.
Yeah.
I can
Rusk.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Chai is fun. I mean, I do think like my ideal first date is just like quick, like a 20-30 minute coffee thing to like make sure he's not crazy.
Yeah, like coffee and a walk. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
A walk is amazing.
Yeah. Like just simple.
Yeah. Cause like anything else is like too much for a first. What did you think about Shaker?
Oh yeah, he was cute.
Yeah, but I felt
Cute,
like
very
he was kind of
sweet.
bland.
Yeah. I know that he had like a good job, like a good, I mean, like, yeah, he was a lawyer, but I think he was working as a lawyer for like some good causes.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, wasn't Nadia's first date him literally showing her around Chicago?
So no, he had gone to New Jersey or New York to see her, and then she came to Chicago, and then he took her on like a boat tour of Chicago.
Oh, yeah, that was hella cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, but wait, I think Nadia might have had like the same issues as Vinesh, honestly.
Oh yeah, like she just wasn't
Yeah.
attracted.
Like, I'm not sure if she brought up his looks, but she was, I think they were like getting to the part where he met the parents, and the parents were like
Yeah.
also very excited.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was also one of the few South Indians on the show.
Yeah, he was
But
dumb.
yeah, but she was like, "Oh yeah, like I just see him as a friend." I'm just like, "Excuse you?" And I think that was like also when she was like a little flirty with
Vishal.
Vishal. Yeah. Honestly, like maybe she met Vishal at one of those meetups that Simanti was hosting.
No, she did.
That's
No,
crazy.
it was like I think it was a meetup of some kind, but I think it was like a party for Seema Auntie. I remember on the show they were like organizing it, and they were like, "Oh, like Seema Auntie's coming to New York. I think it would be like a good way for like her older clients and her newer clients to like meet up and like chit chat." That was the event.
Fascinating.
But now Vishal's doing like comedy TikToks. I don't know if you've seen those,
No,
but
I've not.
he's making these like comedy TikToks now, and some of them are on Instagram. And he made this like joke about his girlfriend or like his ex-girlfriend. I don't know, but it was in like really bad taste. I don't remember what the joke was, but I remember it was like in really bad taste, and I hate him now.
Yo, oh my gosh. Do you remember Guru?
No,
Um,
who is that?
okay. He was the other Indo-Caribbean guy that was set up with Nadia. This was like
Oh,
her very first
yeah,
day.
yeah. I
Like the guy
remember.
pulled up in a gray t-shirt that you would wear to sleep. Like
I don't
so
remember what he was wearing, but
um and then I think he was like, "Oh, you remind me of AOC or something."
what?
Or I don't know. Or I know that like AOC was certainly brought up in that episode or like during their date. Yeah,
I don't. Do
he's
you remember why it didn't work out between them?
he was just like too awkward, I
Oh,
guess. I
yeah.
don't know. I'm also awkward, but like this, I think this guy has been saying like some borderline incel stuff like online.
Oh, really?
Um,
Like on
yeah,
Insta?
Insta or Twitter. Wait, yeah, you remember when Clubhouse was a thing?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's some people I know from Twitter who were saying that like he kind of like jumped into like every single Clubhouse space and like disrupted it. It was he seemed like a character.
That's a thing though. Like, I feel after these people are on the show, like, no one's gonna want to date them unless they
Yeah,
like want clout.
yeah. I think he like now is doing like some crypto AI fashion thing.
None of those words sound good.
Like which tech people were like riding the hype waves when like all of the people who were interested in Bitcoin shifted
Yeah.
to like being interested in like Chat GPT generative AI, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get started on that either. But
We could do a whole tech focused episode.
yeah, yeah.
Tech in
Like
capital.
tech and capital and like a lot of the model minority. Especially, yeah, I don't know, maybe we could do something for like AAPI History Month.
When is that?
May question mark?
Do you feel like, I mean, I know there's this ongoing discourse of like, oh, why are you purposefully portraying India like this? It's like not whatever, whatever.
Wait, like from non-Indian people?
No, from Indian people. They're like, they feel like the show gives India a bad image.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
I
there
think
are other people where it's like where we are like this is reality.
yeah, I think that's kind of where I stand.
Yeah, same. But that comes out with like any piece of meat, like especially these days, like any piece of media that's even a little. I mean, this show doesn't even try to be critical. It's just like the norm. And of course, when people realize all these really bad things about the show and start talking about them, that's when the Sangis are like, oh, these shows just want to portray India in a bad light.
Yeah, that's honestly crazy. It also reminds me of like what a lot of Zionists are saying,
Mm-hmm.
not just about Israel, but or yeah, like about Israel, but it's like, oh, if they're doing something bad, you're like, oh, you're doing this because you hate Jews, or like you're trying to portray us in a bad light. But like, no, like every community has its problems, and
Yeah.
obviously Indian matchmaking itself has problems, but I will give them credit because at least they're telling it like it is.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the fact that it's so casteist and people talk about like the caste-based nature of it, I feel like it's a way to get like non-Indian allies if we're in those, provide that we're in the right spaces and like have the right conversations. Because I don't know if it might have been Dr. Ambedkar who wrote the Indian Constitution, but he was also like one of the most prominent Dalit activists in modern times. And he's like
Yes.
responsible for like the major Dalit rights movement, but he basically said that like the reason why caste has survived so long is because of arranged marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do with that what you will.
Yeah.
Uh,
And yeah, like going back to what we were saying about like people and like Indian weddings, aka like the ones that have all of these caste-based rituals, these are like really big out here in the
yeah.
West.
Yeah. And
Like,
no one questions what they're doing.
yeah, so if people have heard about huge Indian weddings, so like matchmaking's got to lead to a wedding, so I think it's natural that the show would appeal to these people. It's not meant to like paint India in a bad light. Like the people there are just, or I'll just say that they're hit or miss.
And
And like it's also reality TV. Like it's not good.
yeah.
Like yeah, you can't expect it to be like super revolutionary or whatever. Like I think I see some of those memes on Twitter that were like, oh, I went to the movies and I watched and the main character at the end pointed at the screen and said what kind of communist they are.
Oh my God.
Like media, like at the end of the day, media is liberal at best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's up to us as far as what we can get from it.
Yeah. And I think obviously some of the discourse is super toxic, but some of it's not. And I think we all like learn a lot from other people's dating lives. Do
Yeah.
you have any concluding thoughts?
Yeah, what was our main point again of this? But I think that,
Cast is bad.
yeah, like having preferences is fine and natural, but I think being outside of India, it's important to understand where these preferences are coming from, and
Yeah.
you might be surprised where they do come from. So, make a decision for yourself about like what you want to preserve and why you want to preserve it.
Oh, that was a very nice summed up statement of everything we talked about. We hope you guys had fun and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye bye.